Welcome back to Reconfiguring Reality. I'm Laura.
I'm Jesse.
I'm the Jericho.
Today's topic is Thanksgiving. I've decided to start this um, topic with quiz that I haven't taken yet either.
Oh shit! I'm so excited.
And yeah, right. And then I have a second quiz to take at the end near the after we
Double
discuss
homework?
things.
Fuck yes.
Oh yeah, my dream.
So this one has 10 questions, and the next one will have 9.
Okay.
So
First question. Go.
question 1 of 10. Which state produces more turkeys than any other? Choices are
You get
California, North Carolina, Minnesota, or Indiana.
Minnesota.
California.
No, I'm telling you, it's Minnesota for
I'm
sure,
going to go with
hands down.
California because it's the biggest state. I don't know. I have no clue.
Sounds legit.
All right. So the actual answer is, in fact, Minnesota. Good
Oh my
job,
gosh, I'm a
Jericho.
genius.
I don't know how you
What
knew
a
that.
kid. Psychic.
Must be.
Mm-hmm.
So, according to the United States Department of Agriculture, Minnesota produced 42 million birds in 2018, suppressing all other states and turning out turkeys. North Carolina and Arkansas came in second and third with 32.5 million and 31.5 million. So, Minnesota, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Would you have
I
thought that,
also
Jess?
my
And
superpower.
no, I wouldn't have thought that.
Should you know that I had superpowers, my love?
Yes, I knew
Keep
that.
telling yourself that.
I do. I have the power of post cognition.
And number 2, which of these food items was certainly not on the menu at the meeting between the pilgrims and the members of the Wamp, how do you say that? Wamp, Wampanga?
Wampum?
The Indians, the tribe.
I have no idea. I'm not staring at the name.
Wampanoag.
A wampum?
I'm not even going to attempt it. I know I'm gonna butcher it.
Which of the food items was which of these food items was certainly not on the menu at the meeting between the pilgrims and the Indians? That is com I can't say these words. Commemorated at the first Thanksgiving. Seafood, yams, venison, or wild fowl.
Uh y-
Is it Wampanoags?
Yeah.
Okay, so the OAGS part is I think it's Wampanoags, but I don't think I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So is seafood, yams, venison, or wild fowl? Which one do you think was not there?
I'm still going with I'm still going with the yams.
I'm also going with yams. Jericho, what about you?
I said venison,
Okay,
but now hearing seafood, technically it could be seafood, but
but you said venison.
yes,
Okay, well the answer is yams. Historians
I wasn't
say
gonna.
that the meal would not have included would have included venison and fowl, and Europeans and Native Americans living in the area at the time also regularly ate shellfish. However, sweet potatoes or yams were not yet introduced into the New England region.
Oh, it is Wampanoags. I was right.
Wampanoags?
Wampanoags. Yep.
Wampanoags, okay.
Sick. All right, go on.
During which historical event did Thanksgiving become a recurring federal holiday? Was it the Constitutional Convention of 1787, the Civil War, World War One, or the Great Depression?
I'm going to say the Great Depression because that's what state I'm in right now.
Um,
It's not,
I'm
but
I'm going with
actually it could be.
the first one.
The Constitutional Convention of 1787?
Yeah.
Okay, the correct answer is.
Whoa! Why are you not answering?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going for the Civil War. Which is.
She just read the answers. Look at
No,
cheating.
no, 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 no. I already knew that it was the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
I did. And just
Okay.
because I actually researched this topic. So, George Washington had called for days of national Thanksgiving. It was Abraham Lincoln who gave us the annual holiday. In an October 1863 proclamation of the holiday, he wrote, "I do therefore invite my fellow citizens in every part of the United States, and also those who are at sea, and those who are sojourning in foreign lands, to set apart and observe the last Thursday of November next as a day of thanksgiving and praise to our beneficent Father who dwelleth in the heavens." So that was the Civil War.
Ah.
Did you know that there are 4 cities in America that are named Turkey?
No, I
Yep.
did not know that.
Yep. One's in Texas, one's in Arizona, one's in Louisiana, one's in North Carolina.
Interesting. Number 4 of 10. In 1939, President Franklin D. Roosevelt made a change to Thanksgiving. What did he do? Did he allow stores to open at midnight for Black Friday? Cancel the holiday because of World War II? Approve the playing of football games on federal holidays? Or move the holiday to the second last Thursday of November?
Um.
Last one.
B.
Okay, so Jess said cancel the holiday during World War II, or because of World War II. Jericho said moved the holiday to the second last Thursday of November. I am
Yep.
agreeing with Jericho on this one, and that is actually the correct answer.
Of course it is.
Before 1939, Thanksgiving was held on the last Thursday of the month. In 1939, the holiday would have landed on November 30th, so Roosevelt moved it a week earlier to give retailers more shopping days between Thanksgiving and Christmas. This
Oh, that's so stupid.
This proved unpopular, with critics labeling the holiday Franksgiving. The president changed course in 1941 and put the holiday on the fourth Thursday of November. Franksgiving. Okay, sorry.
Oh my God.
Did you know, on average, the average American at Thanksgiving consumes anywhere between 3,000 and 4,500 calories?
I wouldn't be shocked to hear that.
And yeah, just imagine that for a minute. Like you're eating like 2.5 days worth of food.
Yeah, but that's the best thing about
Look, I'm not
Thanksgiving is you
lying, man.
have
Nothing's
fucking
like a turkey
leftovers for.
leftover sandwich with little mayonnaise and some salt, and you put the goodies on top.
I'm
Oh.
not a huge fan of turkey, so.
See,
She doesn't like
thanks.
to eat anything that's bigger than her.
See, Thanksgiving is the one like meal I will cook. Like
Mm-hmm.
like I enjoy it. Most of the other times it's I don't want to cook.
Mm-hmm.
But oh, just all the leftovers, like the turkey sandwiches, the ham sandwiches, sitting there and using the ham bone to make split pea soup and stuff like that. Just
Question 5 of 10. Unattended cooking is a major cause of kitchen fires on Thanksgiving. So, too, are failed attempts to deep fry turkeys. On a
oh
typical
god.
day, the National Fire Protection Association records about 470 home cooking fires. How many were reported on Thanksgiving of 2017? 800, 1,000, 1,200, or 1,600?
1,600.
I'm going. You said 1,200.
Uh huh. I also.
Wait, wait. Countrywide?
Yes.
Okay. No. I agree with Jericho then.
I'm going 1200 because that's the number I wrote down by my name. But I'll click on 1600. That is correct. You're on fire too. According to the National Fire Protection Association, there are more than 3 times as many home cooking fires on Thanksgiving than a typical day. The next worst day is Christmas. Number 6. Which of these combinations includes only real locations in the United States? This is interesting because you had said something about Turkey. So, Turkey, Minnesota, Corn, Kansas, Roll, Arizona, Pumpkin, Ohio. Or Green, Ohio, Bean, Georgia, Casserole, North Dakota, Yum Yum, Tennessee. Or Stuffing, Alabama, Dessert, Maine, Bread, Massachusetts, Thanksgiving, Idaho. Or the last one, Turkey, Texas, Cranberry Township, Pennsylvania, Spuds, Florida, Pie Town, New Mexico. I am going for the last one.
Sure, why not?
Uh, I'm gonna go with the first one
Okay. And Jericho, you're going with the last one? Oh,
Yep.
okay. Why did you choose the ones that you chose?
because the only one I knew is the Minnesota with the turkey, so I'm just going with that.
Got it. Why did you choose the last one, Jericho?
Uh, because you picked mine, so I picked yours.
Oh, okay. Well, I chose the last one because I lived outside of Cranberry Township, Pennsylvania. So I knew it was a real place. And you had just said that Turkey was in Texas, right? So that's two. So I chose the last one, which is correct. Turkey, Texas, Cranberry Township, Pennsylvania, Spuds, Florida, and Pie Town, New Mexico are all places you could visit. We sprinkled in a few other locations, including rural Arizona and Yum Yum, Tennessee. I want to go to Yum Yum, Tennessee. That's just fun to say.
Yum Yum, Tennessee. Just
You're gonna eat some yum yum sauce in Yum Yum, Tennessee.
Yum Yum sauce is the shit. I
oh,
love it.
it is.
All
I want
right.
some hibachi now.
Right? Number 7. Which of these Pacific islands celebrates its own version of Thanksgiving? Oh, okay.
No, one.
Kiribati, Norfolk Island, Fiji, or Solomon Islands?
Wait, what was the question?
Which of these Pacific islands celebrates its own version of Thanksgiving?
Solomon Island.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with B again.
Norfolk Island? Okay, well then I'm going to go with Fiji. I don't know why. And the answer is Norfolk Island. Good job, Jess. In the 1800s, American whalers brought the Thanksgiving tradition to Norfolk Island, an Australian territory once populated by descendants of the HMS Bounty mutineers. But not everything about the holiday is the same there. Norfolk Islanders celebrate Thanksgiving on a Wednesday, and they can't give thanks for the new fall harvest because it's spring in the southern hemisphere. All right, number 8. Which president, when presented with a live Thanksgiving turkey, responded, "Let's keep him going," a moment that served as an inspiration for the ritual of the presidential turkey pardons? George Bush, Ronald Reagan, Richard Nixon, or JFK?
Kennedy.
Jericho,
Yes.
your answer?
I was thinking this one. I'm completely in the weeds on. I'll go with the last one.
JFK.
Yes.
You got it right. President Kennedy is credited with speaking those inspirational words. President Reagan once joked about pardoning a Thanksgiving turkey that was presented to him as a way of deflating questions about whether he would issue pardons in the Iran Contra scandal. And it was President Bush who made the pardons an annual tradition starting in 1989. There's
That is
also
interesting.
evidence that Lincoln spared a turkey back in his day, though the bird was destined to be a Christmas meal.
So, yeah. Um,
I just picked Kennedy because he seemed like a little wimp and felt bad for a turkey. So
Number 9. Among current NFL franchises, which is the only one to have never played a game on Thanksgiving? The LA Rams, Jacksonville Jaguars, Cleveland Browns, or Tennessee Titans?
Jaguars. Fairly certain the Rams have played a Thanksgiving game before.
I'm going to say Browns because I don't know.
I'm gonna go with the Browns too because they suck.
And the answer is the Jaguars. Interesting. The Jaguars, who joined the league in 1995, have never played on a holiday. All right.
Man,
And,
just killing it. Oh,
and finally, which character has more appearances than any other at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade? Snoopy, Woody the Woodpecker, Mickey Mouse, or Ronald McDonald?
I think it's either Mickey or it's not Woody anymore. I don't think because Woody's fallen out of favor for a few times. So it's either Mickey or the other one.
Snoopy, Woody Woodpecker, Mickey Mouse, or
I'm
Ronald
gonna go with
McDonald?
Snoopy
And I'm going with Snoopy as well.
because Snoopy's been an icon forever.
What about you, Jess?
Mm, I'm gonna have to agree only because Snoopy was out before Woody Woodpecker.
So, do you guys watch the Macy's Day Parade?
Used to.
I never like watched the whole thing.
You know, my sister marched in it when she was in college. Her college marching band marched in the Macy's Day Parade. There were a lot of
Supposed to used to.
clowns. I did not enjoy it. But
Ugh.
the answer is Snoopy. The correct answer is Snoopy. He first appeared as an aviator in 1968 and is scheduled to make his 40th flight. Was scheduled to make his 40th flight, and I think this is 2017 or 18 that this came out. So, yeah.
So what you're saying is, yeah, all I do is win, win, win.
Do is win, 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 no matter what.
So, what did we learn about Thanksgiving in school?
Uh, the white people are bad, and the Indians suffered.
Okay.
I mean, that's literally what they taught in school. It was like all the white people showed up, conducted chemical warfare, raped and pillaged and lied, and the Indians just basically got screwed over. I mean, I'm
I
not
mean,
saying a lot of that didn't happen. I'm just saying it they paint the colonists to be very very like evil and vindictive and stuff, but not all of them were that way, and not it didn't all happen that way. Like the Trail of Tears was not every day in Indian life. Like there was lots that were going on, and there's a whole political system and culture to the Native American people, you know, that people don't understand. It's not like they were peace loving Native Americans everywhere and they're all just smoking the peace pipe and having a good time. And we showed up, and by we, I mean, you know, then soon to be Americans and started bonking people over the head. That's not what happened. Like they were warring with each other and murdering each other and doing all this stuff way before that ever came along. In fact, like the conquistadors and stuff and the Spanish took way harsher treatment of Native Americans than the original colonists did. Just some people got highlighted for doing it because you know money talks, right?
Right. What were you taught about the first Thanksgiving feast?
Nothing. I honestly, I don't remember much of school, so
I got the very PG version of Collins showed up and they were like, "Man, this is way harder than we thought, and winter's going to be rough. We don't know if we're going to make it." Then the nice Native Americans showed up and go, "Hey guys, let me show you how to grow food and to hunt and to do things that clearly you don't know how to do, and we're going to share our bounty with you as a sign of welcome and peace." And then they had like this nice little luncheon.
luncheon.
Huh. Okay. So, I don't remember much about school either, so I had to do research on this.
Same.
And I found an article that said, the settlers were having a feast and they were doing like a festival and they were shooting guns off, and the local Indians of the area, the I can't even say that tribe's name, but they came to investigate, and that's like they had 90 of their tribe walk up to this small village of 50 people, and it was intimidating for the 50 people, so they invited them in to come eat and everything, and then there was lots of bloodshed afterwards. So I've been finding a lot of articles written by the Native American people, though, like the
Mhm.
American Indian tribes and stuff, all turning it onto like into, you all think that this was a good thing and it was about peace and treaty and everything, but really it was not, and it was much darker than you thought.
Well, let's see. Plymouth's Thanksgiving began with a few colonists going out fowling, possibly for turkeys, but more probably for the easier prey of geese and ducks. Then this is all from Britannica.
Yeah.
Then the what? How did you pronounce that, Jericho? Wampanoag. Wampanoag.
Wampanoag.
Uh, appeared. They socialized for a few days and then they contributed to the feast. Venice included fowl, fish, eels, shellfish, stews, vegetables, and beer. Supposedly they ran races, fired guns, drank liquor, struggled to speak in broken English. It says this was a rather disorderly affair, but it sealed a treaty between the two groups that lasted until King Philip's War, supposedly.
Hmm.
I guess supposedly the New England colonists were accustomed to regular celebrating Thanksgiving days of prayer, thanking God for blessings such as military victory or the end of a drought. The U.S. Continental Congress proclaimed a national Thanksgiving upon the enactment of the Constitution. Yet after 1798, the new U.S. Congress left Thanksgiving declaration to the states. Some objected to the national government's involvement in a religious observation. Southerners were slow to adopt a New England custom, and others took offense over the days being used to hold partisan speeches and parades.
I have, of course, from the History Channel, because I love the History Channel, that many Americans, including people of Native American ancestry, believe Thanksgiving celebrations mask the true history of oppression and bloodshed that underlines the relationship between European settlers and Native Americans. I have that. Um, Pilgrims held their second Thanksgiving celebration in 1623 to mark the end of a long drought that had threatened the year's harvest and prompted Governor Bradford to call for a religious fast. Days of fasting and Thanksgiving on an annual or occasional basis became commonplace in other New English settlements as well. Yeah, I mean, November 1621, after the Pilgrims' first corn harvest proved successful, Governor William Bradford organized a celebratory feast and invited a group of the fledgling colony's Native American allies, including Wampanoag chief Massasoit. I don't know how to say his name either. Um, but it's interesting because here it says that he invited them, but I don't think it's written anywhere else that they were actually invited to this feast. Historians have suggested that many of the dishes were likely prepared using traditional Native American spices and cooking methods. Because the Pilgrims have no oven and the Mayflower's sugar supply had dwindled by the fall of 1621, the meal did not feature pies, cakes, or other desserts, which have become a hallmark of the contemporary celebrations. Can you imagine Thanksgiving with no pumpkin pie?
Yeah, cause I prefer pecan pie.
Pecan pie is good, but I can't eat it if there's coconut in it, and most of them have
Who puts
coconut.
coconut in it?
You'd be surprised. In many American households, the Thanksgiving celebration has lost most of its original religious significance. Instead, now it centers on cooking and sharing a bountiful meal with family and friends. Turkey, a Thanksgiving staple, okay, what? Turkey may or may not have been an offer when the Pilgrims hosted the inaugural feast in 1621. However, nearly 90% of Americans today eat the bird, whether roasted, baked, or deep fried. Other traditional foods include stuffing, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce, and pumpkin pie. Volunteering is a common Thanksgiving Day activity, and communities often hold food drives and host free dinners for the less fortunate. And then, of course, there's the Macy's Day Parade.
But am I the only one that prefers ham over turkey?
Do you make yours with clove?
Usually I buy the spiral ham already cut and just add the glaze to it. I'm lazy like that.
Yeah, see, I'm not a fan of ham either. Like, Thanksgiving
Oh,
is not one of my favorite holidays, food
but
wise.
all the food.
I don't like soggy bread, therefore, stuffing is not my go to. Um,
What about like cranberry sauce?
I like cranberry, the gelled cranberry sauce,
Yeah, same
but
here.
the cranberry sauce with the chunks in it, I can't get over the seeds.
What about green bean casserole?
I'll do green bean casserole, I'll do broccoli casserole. I will not do creamed corn.
Oh, really?
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
See, now I'm really hungry.
But you give me the desserts and I'll eat that shit up quick and in a hurry. My twin used to make the best homemade lemon meringue pie for Thanksgiving.
I want lemon bars now.
I have a recipe for some.
I do too.
Although the American concept of Thanksgiving developed in the colonies of New England, roots can, its roots can be traced both to Native Americans as well as back to the other side of the Atlantic. I don't know how to get into the history of Thanksgiving.
Well, I mean, there's not really too much detail to go into, mainly because like history and stuff is written by the winners. So of course they're not going to sit there and do that. But I think Thanksgiving is just one of those things where it's just like people say what they're thankful for and everything like that, but they kind of forget that it came out of
Violence,
like being
bloodshed.
thankful for specific things. Well, not necessarily bloodshed, but the fact
I've been on
that
mute this whole time. Damn it.
oh, that explains why you were so quiet.
Yeah. I'm like sitting there going like talking and I'm just like, okay, they're ignoring me, that's fine, whatever. As far as Thanksgiving goes, I think there's two things that we're kind of missing the point on. So to talk about what Jesse was talking about, so commercialism and all that kind of stuff and whatever, you can make that argument. But the thing is, things evolve, right? So like we have the term today, for example, jaywalking, right? Everybody knows what jaywalking is, right?
Hmm.
When you cross the
Yeah.
street against traffic when you're not supposed to, right? But did you know that that isn't like wasn't or at least originally supposed to be an official like law or term? It was slang, and more specifically, it was derogatory slang. What happened was is back in the day, main roads and main towns were built around main roads. So you expected to see horses and people moving down and taking carts and all that kind of stuff on Main Street. That was the whole thing. It was a gathering place. When automobiles started getting in a bunch of accidents and things like that, the automobile industry was losing sales. So to promote their sales, they had to promote taking over the streets instead of pedestrians. So that's not an easy thing to suddenly up and do. So what they did is they ran a smear campaign and they called people dirty Jays. Oh, look at that Jay over there just walking across the street, and put the blame on pedestrians, making it seem like if you're out there in the middle of the street where a car is rightfully to be, then you're dumb and you're the one causing the accident. And the term jaywalking came from that. Now, the reason I mention it is because, again, we can all sit here and say, well, in the past, this was the origin. Everything that's today has an effed up origin. Marriage has an effed up origin, right?
Uh huh.
Dressing in white wasn't about just purity, it was a way of showing purity. Whether or not someone is on their period, if they reach a certain age, the bouquet was to cover the smell because back then not a lot of people bathed
Yeah.
Right.
or had access to that. So that there's a lot of things where so getting into an argument of, hey, you know, this is not that's irrelevant. We're here in the now, not back then. We can discuss back then, and that's fine. But as far as what we can discuss in Thanksgiving, there's tons of things to discuss. Again, you can discuss the commercialism. You can discuss Western Thanksgiving practices versus Eastern Thanksgiving practices.
Well,
You,
actually, the U.S. and Canada are the only two countries that actually celebrate Thanksgiving.
Japan celebrates it.
Oh, I did not know that actually.
Yeah, it's not a national holiday per se, but a lot of our holidays get
Oh yeah, well, no,
transported as
because
we go to other places.
isn't that the one where KFC is like the big Thanksgiving meal or something over in
It's
Japan, or is
Christmas.
that Christmas? That's Christmas.
Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah. But in Hawaii, KFC is a big thing in Hawaii, but it's also very expensive because they have to import the chickens.
Yeah.
So like my point is though that's a topic to discuss, right? Like why do some cultures adopt our practices and others don't? Or sometimes ours is a Western take on a traditional one, right? So for example, Christmas, right? Like Yule logs and things like that were pagan traditions. They weren't normally associated with a Christian holiday celebrating Christ, right? So like we're talking about two different things. But the
Mm-hmm.
amalgamation of it came to be a day for appreciation, a day for goodwill, and the spirit of essentially what Jesus stood for is being represented by a fat dude in Coca-Cola, right? But like that's that's just sort of the way things are done, and like those are talking points we could have is what I'm getting at. We don't have to just be like, well, let's read a couple history facts and take a quiz, and then we're out of content. Like we're only out of content because we're pigeonholing what we're looking at.
Well, I guess for me, like it, it's not even about like being thankful for a harvest, or it's a reason to get together with your family. Like okay, let me rephrase that because my family is not your conventional family anymore.
What does it matter about a conventional family? I think we've left conventional long behind us in a lot of aspects of this modern culture.
Yeah, well, like my family, my biological family I was born into, I don't spend holidays with them. I
Right.
spend the holidays with my kids. Like this year, Thanksgiving's going to suck for me. My kids are gone. They're with their dad, hopefully. So I'll spend it with Sean and his kids. We did get invited to his brothers, so we'll probably go over there for dinner, which means I don't have to cook. But like if my family is like you two, Chesh, MJ, like I created my own family and it just kind of sucks because we can't spend for me it's well the people I want to spend my holiday with I can't.
Okay,
Physically.
well, let me ask you something. Are you thankful that you have Lorelai and Chess in your life?
Yes.
And
Even
would you like
you.
to celebrate that with them?
Yes. So if
Okay.
I have
So that's what
time during
Thanksgiving means to you. And that's what it
yeah,
means to a lot of people, not only in America. Like other cultures celebrate Thanksgiving and they get behind the idea of Thanksgiving, even if it's not necessarily their holiday. right? Like I know a lot about Hanukkah. Not everything, but I know a lot about it. But I learned that because I had Jewish friends. And I was always like, well, what's the difference? You don't have a Christmas tree, you don't have, it started out simple as a kid. And I just dove into understanding why their celebrations are important to them and what about that 7 day period is just so great for them. And that's what I found out is asking those questions. So when we're talking about Thanksgiving, we can talk about, what makes Thanksgiving special. Why do we bother celebrating it? Is it just a day to eat turkey? Is it something more? Do we ourselves believe, what I'm saying? That those are the questions we can dive
But
into. We don't have to just be like, well, pilgrims killed some people.
well, it's not even just that. It is technically considered a national holiday.
Sure.
So a lot of people, there are some people who it's a day off of work for me, and they
Right.
could care less about it. And then there's some people who it's Thanksgiving, but I'm more excited about being able to get all the good shopping done on Black Friday.
I used to
Right.
volunteer to work on Black Friday so that my sisters couldn't drag me shopping.
Oh, see, I've only been Friday shopping once in my whole entire life because to me, I'm just like I look at it as like I'm lucky enough with my job. I get Thanksgiving off and I also get the Friday off after it. Black Friday I get off.
Hmm.
That doesn't happen a lot. And for me, it's one of those things where it's like I feel bad for those people who have to literally cut the time with their family short because they work retail and they have to go help set up the store and get everything ready for people who are looking for this great deal and all they want to do is spend money. But yeah, you got to bring your family with you to go shopping, but you're taking away the time of these poor retail people and then you treat them like shit sometimes. And so I kind of protest to a point about no, I'm not going shopping Black Friday.
Right.
Because if we didn't want to do it, those people wouldn't have to step away from their family just to appease greedy people who want to be stingy with their cash and buy a $600 TV at 450 or fight other people over material things. Like I've seen some of those videos of people during Black Friday punching each other over like a TV.
Yeah. Why not?
I can't comprehend it. It is a freaking TV and you are assaulting another human being over an inanimate object that if it wasn't on sale, you wouldn't be buying anyways, you wouldn't be punching that person.
Okay. Well, you have to look at it from this perspective. In a modern culture, right? In modern society, we no longer are hunter gatherers. And that's not to say there aren't people out there doing that, but we don't live that lifestyle anymore. We're no longer fighting for survival in that terms. Money has become what survival equals. So when you earn money or you save money or you do things, not only is it a symbol of wealth and status, but it's also security, right? That's why when people don't get their check or whatever, they lose their mind because the first thing they think of is I'm going to be homeless, I can't pay my bills, and all the ramifications of not having money is the same thing as I'm going to starve, right? In reality, we're
Mhm.
probably not going to starve, but it's what our fight or flight response is keyed into now because of the modern society. So when you look at Black Friday, right, and especially the older styles where you have people rushing the gates and all that, if you work even a decent job, that decent job allows you to pay for your home and for your family, but it doesn't really allow a leeway. There's a lot of sacrifices that have to be made for that family vacation or to buy that new car or whatever it is that you're doing. It's not simply a matter of we just have money that way. So you may not be able to afford a new TV or anything more than a modest television. So suddenly somebody dangles something in front of you that only the rich and powerful perceivably have a chance of getting on a normal basis. And at that point it becomes a Hunger Game situation. Do you want that TV more than anyone else? What are you willing to do to get that TV? So we think of it as a barbaric trade-off of people punching the shit out of each other and raffle stomping and stampeding. But it's like any game show or anything, right? You watch Survivor, you watch, you know, any of those game shows where people are competing for money. They quickly turn to lying, cheating, backstabbing because at the end of the day, that money
Yeah.
is life. Even if
Yeah,
they
but
don't keep
that's
the TV, even if
money.
they
You
sell it
are
or whatever.
spending your money for a TV
Well, you're spending your
or
money on an investment. Even if you don't necessarily plan to turn around and sell the thing tomorrow, scalpers do that all the time, right? The new console comes out for PlayStation or whatever, and then you got a guy who's going
oh
to buy
yeah,
30 of them so he can turn around on eBay and sell them for 4 times what they're worth.
or sell them for 4 times what they're worth when there's a shortage on
Exactly.
Amazon still.
And so why do people do that? Why rob some poor, 10-year-old kid who that's all he wanted all year and his family saved up for it? Because you don't care. So the thing is, it's people take things out of sight, out of mind, right? You can always paint a picture where you're the bad guy, right? So if you don't stomp everybody to get that TV, if you have an older TV, let's say you had an 18-inch TV, right, an old boob tube, not even like a flat screen or anything,
Mhm.
and you decide, well, I want a new TV, right? I've got the extra money. I'm gonna go to Walmart and deserve it. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm just buying a TV. If I come to you and go, you just spent $400 on that new TV, why aren't you feeding the homeless?
No, no, see, it's not like, why aren't you feeding the homeless? But to me is, I guess it's, I'm just so used to going without the things I would really like. Where for me, I can't comprehend myself doing something like that. Like
Oh,
Liam,
I get what you're saying. I'm
all
just
he
saying,
wants is a Switch.
right?
And I can't, because I live paycheck to paycheck, I can't even save up for even like the Black Friday deals. I'm content with not having a lot of things because growing up, like I was jaded as a child thinking, "Oh, my dad makes all this money because my dad works 60, 70 hours a week." And we always had a nice things and we always had a great presents and all this other kind of stuff. Well, I found out as I got older, they were living outside of their means, and I told myself, even though I know my kids want this or that or other things, I'm going to try to live within my means as best as possible.
And
So
that's
that's
there's nothing wrong with that. But your question is, why would somebody do that? Well, except in the most ridiculous of cases, the when people show up and there is a crowd already pushing and shoving and clawing and just in a fevered pitch to
it,
bum
it's
rush
herd
the mall.
mentality, isn't it?
What
You're
it's not
seeing
just that.
everybody.
It's just saying that those people you see who go, I can't believe it happened. They just stomped on me and walked by. What are you, stupid? You have to be the dumbest person on earth because you literally were elbow to elbow with these people. You were one of the first to go in. You fought to get to the front of that line. It wasn't like everyone just casually let you be there. You never hear about someone in the back end getting run over. It's somebody who's in the middle or in the front, meaning they understood what was about to happen.
Yeah,
They just were shocked
that
that the
someone would
stampede
do
didn't
that.
stop to go, hey, by the way, are you okay? Because at that point, no one's thinking of look down. Everyone's thinking of I got to get moving. And even if you were to see somebody on the ground and be like, "Holy crap!" If you've ever been in like a mosh pit or a horde of people moving in, or like a
Oh yeah.
mob, if you stop, you are also getting
Oh yeah.
trampled.
Hmm.
Like
That
that's
that
what happens.
that is why most of the time, like when you go to rock shows now, they'll sometimes even stop the mosh pit and be like, okay, we're gonna let the chicks do it now, because you have a more fighting chance as a chick going up against other chicks than dudes twice your size. But
I mean, yeah.
I guess it's just one of the things. I think my biggest thing is these corporations are like, oh, we're only gonna put this on sale for 1 day, and that's just Black Friday. You know good and well they could sell it at that price constantly. It's just you're thinking you're getting a good deal, and I'll admit it. I even do it at work where someone will call and be like, "Well, if I order this 1,500 square foot patio, let's say,
Hmm.
and I'll sit there, oh, for you, I'll do this price." And I do that price for other people too, but I'm making them thinking they're getting a good deal on it, and like they're the only ones getting the good deal on it to get
Yeah.
the sale. I get that. I just, as I'm getting older, I can't comprehend you're taking a holiday that we're supposed to be thankful for the food on our table, our family, having a job, all this other kind of stuff. And then turning it into, oh, well, to some people it's, oh, well, I'm going to go shopping after this. And I was like, well, what about the people who had to skip dinner because they have to be there at a specific time? Because it's not just midnight anymore. There are places that open at 9, 10 o'clock at night sometimes.
Sure.
So if, let's say you're working the morning shift quick because let's say you're going to Walmart and they're open till like noon on Thanksgiving because, oh, I forgot the stuffing, I forgot the cranberries. Of course, people forget things.
Sure.
So they're open for a little bit and then they get off at noon and then dinner usually is until 6 or 7, but they have to be back by 9. They're only getting a couple hours with their families. And I guess I hate that because I've had to do that working retail where I've had to give up holidays for my family because you may only have a handful of customers during the day, but to the corporation it's, oh, well, that's a handful of customers we're getting money from, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but you have to think about the other side of it. For every story you hear about, it sucks. I was forced to work on a holiday, blah blah blah. There's people out there who, like me, were like, I need that money. I've got bills to pay. I don't give a shit about hanging out with my family. Fuck those assholes. I need to make sure I have rent for tomorrow. Like, and if not for those hours, if not for those opportunities and that overtime, some people couldn't make ends meet. So it is the world's populace isn't out there like boo hoo hoo because if you don't want to go, just claim to be sick and lie your teeth and you're there, right? If
I
you're morally
guess
ambiguous to selling shit, you're morally ambiguous to making up shit about not being there. Like it's potato potato. So like in the scheme of things, nobody has to work a job like that. When they say I'm forced to, they mean I'm too lazy to go get another job. That's what they're saying. Like I'm comfortable where I'm at. I don't want to rock the boat. But they're going to bitch about it because they just hope don't like that personal circumstance, right? But no one has a gun to your head and is like, show up and sell these fucking jeans or I'm gonna murder your family, right? Like
yeah,
that
but
doesn't happen.
technically if they paid people a livable, and it's not just like corporations like Target and stuff, like based off of where I live
Hmm.
in a single parent with 2 children income household, I am supposed to be making 40 some bucks an hour.
Okay.
I chose not to go to college, stuff like that. I understand that.
Okay.
So even in a 2 income household, I still do not make enough to cover the cost of living technically
Okay.
because I am lucky enough I do not have to pay rent. I don't have a mortgage at the moment. There will be one sooner or later, so we have utilities and stuff like that. But if we had a mortgage, we'd be screwed.
Okay.
But
But what things do you think facilitate that? Like,
well, let's see. If you go from how much gas is
so
to how
inflation,
much
prices, right?
inflation, which it happens every year. I understand that, but when the wage is stagnant, where for 2 3 years you're getting a 30 cent. Like when I worked at Advance Auto Parts, they literally would give my store manager $1 to distribute between 15 employees. A
Hmm?
dollar. So he had to decide who was getting a 5 cent raise, a 10 cent raise, if no one was, if half the store wasn't giving a raise. But that doesn't happen a lot. Like I am lucky I have had a raise every year.
Okay.
But sometimes it doesn't cover how much inflation went up that year. So, yes, there are ways to, you buy off-brand groceries. There are some things you do not buy off-brand, macaroni and cheese being one.
Okay.
You stop going out. You don't eat out as much. And yes, I have the luxury of, I may complain that I don't have money. All of my bills are always paid. I may cut it close at the end of the week because I get paid weekly, where it's, oh, I'm not going to be able to get my coffee. Like the
Quit
two
smoking.
things, that's what I'm doing. But
Hmm. That's
my
another way
thing
to
is
save the
is
money. Yep.
is let's say I did smoking and my daily cup of coffee are the two things I splurge on myself. I've
Okay.
gotten a little bit better because everybody tells me self-care. So, like, my self-care is I get my coffee now and I do my nails at home
Okay.
because it
Let
is
me ask you
important.
something. When you
But my
make your mac and
kids,
cheese, how do you make
mhm,
it?
uh I boil the water, put the macaroni in, drain it, put the butter in, and then depending on if I have milk or not, add milk. If I don't, or it depends. If I don't have enough milk for the recommended, I do half milk, half water.
Okay.
If I don't have any milk, I use water.
Okay. So you understand making macaroni and cheese with water
Yes. I also have
and no butter, right?
done.
Just when you're
Yeah.
down to
Oh, no,
water.
no, no. Oh, yeah. I've also done butter and bread sandwiches. I've done just normal bread. There was a time when the ex-husband was not getting a paycheck, and my children always had a good meal, no matter what. I scrimped, I saved, I begged, I pleaded, I went to food shelves to feed my children. And I would choose to have one small meal of maybe like a package of ramen every 2 to 3 days. But that was a sacrifice I chose because I wanted to make sure my children ate, even though, yes, they had lunch and breakfast at school for free. They still needed a nice home cooked meal at home.
Sure.
And so for me, that's one thing, like, I may not say it out loud during Thanksgiving, is I'm thankful my kids don't have to struggle like that anymore because I choose to work the overtime at work because, like you said, that is the extra money. Does it suck that it takes time away from them? Yes, but it's only an extra 10 hours, so it's 2 hours a day, and most of the time, it's during the summer, and I'm already working from home, so they spent all day at home with me anyways.
Okay. So
So,
why don't you mention it during Thanksgiving? On the day you're supposed to be thankful, why not mention the fact that you're
I
thankful day
mention
on
it
it?
to myself. We usually don't do, like, "Oh, this is what I'm thankful for."
Why
It's
not?
just it's just not a tradition we do.
Sure. But so we're talking about traditions, right? And you're
Mhm.
wondering why you give me the third degree about all this stuff. So my point is, a lot of viewers, a lot of listeners, I should say, that are out there, and who are keyed into what we're talking about, or just have the thoughts themselves, have a different experience for life. Like, I was a latchkey kid, right? My mom worked crazy hours, multiple jobs, and everything she could do to make sure we had a roof over our head and food in our stomachs, right? Um, but when I was young, I was under no pretense. There was no mystique or any point where I was like, I never knew I was poor. Like, I knew flat out I was poor. I knew I knew I was poor. There was nothing about me not having stuff. Was I the poorest kid I knew? Hell no. One of my best friends when I was in Roma Land, his name was Raymond, lived down the street from us. His family literally built a shack out of discarded siding and rusty old car parts. I slept over his house once. It was a like a ragged, torn up sheet on a dirty mattress on the ground. If you would have walked in there, you thought it was a crack house. No, but his parents weren't on drugs. They just were extremely poor. His dad was laid off a lot, and he had trouble getting work. And him and his brother were there, and they were living on their grandmother's property, but she wouldn't even let him go into the house. They would take showers with a garden hose. Like, they were literally dirt poor, dirt floors. And he was one of my best friends. And my mom took pity on him. I knew what poor was. I knew that I was poor by American standards, but I was not his poor.
Yeah.
And the reason I mention that is because that's what Thanksgiving is supposed to be, to reflect and to be thankful for the things that we have. But we talked about, why do people fight over televisions and all that, right? To bring it back around, when I was young, I said, when I get older, I'm going to live my way. My mom always told me, when you have your job and your money, you do things your way. Until then, you do things my way. That was a driving goal. I could not get out of my mother's house fast enough because I wanted to be on my own. I wanted to be my own man and do things my way. When I had my house, there was several rules I had in place. Number one, I was not going to be so poor that I had to eat water and macaroni and cheese again, and peanut butter sandwiches or all that kind of stuff anymore. So I made sure I did not have that. But then living in California with no AC fucking sucked. So as I furthered my career, it drove me to push harder. and to do more work and to become better at my job and to do all those things because I got tired of being fucking hot all the time. Once I got a taste of constant AC and cold living, I was like, I'm never going back again. I don't care
Yeah.
what I have to do. I'm never going back again. And I won't. I refuse to. You can ask Lorelai any place to go if they don't have proper AC or the house isn't insulated or stuff like that that would cause me to have to lose that benefit. I don't need AC to survive. But that's just it. That's the quality of life I want to live. So I will bust my ass to get the quality of life I want to live. And the same goes for these people who fight over these things. They want a higher quality of life, often beyond what they can afford. But those of them who see the chance to grab a piece of that cheddar, right? To grab that golden ring, to elevate themselves even in a small way, so they don't feel like I'm just another rat in the race that's going to die someday working a 50-hour week job and had nothing to show for it. That's why people, even in the poorest extent, they buy their coffee, they buy their scone, they do whatever they do, this little slice to make them feel human, to
That's
make them
why I.
feel like I'm not drowning every day and my life is meaningless.
Mhm.
That's why we do the things we do.
Yeah, that's what I try. Like, Sean's parents will always make a comment. Oh, well, Jesse's always buying an iced coffee. Maybe she should do that. I was like, that's the one thing I spoil myself with. The one thing. Like, it makes my day. It's something I like you said, you know your quality of life. You want to always be comfortable with AC. I always want a goddamn iced coffee in the morning. It sounds ridiculous now that I said it out loud, but I'm still going to do it.
Hmm.
So now I understand better. Some people's Black Fridays is my iced coffee.
Yeah, some people they spend their whole day, every day, you know, just busting their ass for something that they may never even get. And then someone dangles this thing that, like, I never was huge on watching TV. I liked watching TV, but it wasn't like a thing I absolutely needed. Like when Netflix came out, what, forever a day ago, we're talking about original Netflix, like rent DVDs. I stopped
Yeah.
watching TV. I just rented DVDs and that was it. When Netflix streaming came out, I left the DVDs behind and I was like, I canceled my cable. I don't need to watch TV. Watching random shows that to fill my life and void was just, it's like people who scroll constantly. I've been a victim of it too, but you're watching nonsense and you're scrolling because you're hoping to find something you actually like, but you just kind of keep flipping endlessly trying. It's like flipping channels, right? You didn't really want the shit that you had. You just wanted the things you liked and could never find it. You're
Hmm.
sifting through hours of crap to find, the nugget here or there that you wanted. But yes, so Black Friday to a lot of people, that's their one chance to say I'm thankful for this. You know, it's there. There's an old Married with Children episode that reminds me of it. You know, he really wanted a new car because he'd always had a shitty car. He had to push it all the time. It was always broken. He had this wife that was draining him dry, kids that were draining him dry. And he's like, you know what? I squirreled away just a little bit of money. Everybody else took all his money all the time, but he just had a little bit to himself. And he thought after years and years of saving, he finally could put a down payment on a new car. And for once feel like he wasn't a loser, only to find out that his wife stole his money. Right? That's the Black Friday moment. It's someone reads in the newspaper, oh my gosh, I can get a 75-inch flat screen TV. Like when they first came out, right? And they first got that big, they were like 4 to 6 grand. No one in their right mind who wasn't making 100K a year even thought about getting some shit like that. But to the average person, they see all of a sudden we're selling one Black Friday, $400. That's still a ton of money. That's a rent payment for most people at that time. But they said, I can do that. I can take that hit, put in that extra 20 hours of overtime a week, and make that shit up. And
Do
they
you,
could feel like, man, look at this. And just show their friends, watch the big game, watch movies with their girlfriend, whatever. Right? So they are willing to throw hands.
do you know where the term Black Friday comes from,
Uh-uh.
Jericho?
I used to.
Okay, well, it's believed that the term Black Friday derives from the concept that businesses operate at a financial loss until the day after Thanksgiving, when massive sales finally allow them to turn a profit. This is not true, though. The term was coined in Philadelphia by police officers to describe the chaos that resulted when large numbers of suburban tourists came into the city to begin their holiday shopping and attend the Saturday's annual Army Navy football game. It says here that huge crowds created a headache for the police, who worked longer shifts than usual as they dealt with traffic jams, accidents, shoplifting, and other issues.
So I always heard that Black Friday originated from the original Black Friday,
What was the
which was when
original
the
Black
stock
Friday?
market crashed.
Okay.
Because that was called Black Friday, right? Because it was every all the banks were manipulating stock and gold prices and all this kind of great stuff, and the stock market crashed and everybody was like losing their stuff. So I think from there, as I understood it,
Oh,
it's all the different Black Fridays had anything to do with financial loss or gain or mobs of people relating to some sort of money transfer. It essentially just that term was reused
right.
to quantify it.
So it does say here, this is from the Britannica, that historically Black Friday has the is related to the 1869 Wall Street. Um,
Stock market crash.
yeah.
Hmm. But um, the commercialism of the holiday, right? We talk about like Black Friday, and then you had like Cyber Monday and all that kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those things um, have always been around. All into Jess's comment to bring that in. Also, fake sales have always been around. They're more prevalent than ever with the inflation being the way it is. Businesses can no longer afford to take the hit because drawing in, especially like that's why most malls and things have closed down or have very few stores, is because everyone's doing their online shopping now. So retail stores have been forced to basically lie. So you know how they put those signs up that say like Black Friday special, and they'll show regular price this is the price now. But right behind those signs, a lot of the time, is their normal sign they have up, and it's the exact same price they normally sell it for. They just add the Black Friday tag to it to make it look like it's a special deal.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, I think when people say we've lost, the core of what Thanksgiving used to be, I think this has to, this gets into a much larger topic, but basically, I think the family unit as we understand it to be is what's under attack. It has been for some time. And more families aren't traditional families. And it's not to say that they're bad for being non-traditional, but there's a reason why the family unit is the way it is, right? It's kind of like there's a reason why structures and plants grow the way they grow. It's not like they evolved to grow in a really dumb way, because then they wouldn't survive. They adapt to the most efficient way that they can to survive, and some things are better at it, some things are worse at it, but they don't evolve backwards, right? Like a rabbit's like, I need to escape prey, so they become fat and slow, right? That doesn't
Right.
make sense.
Right.
So the American family's the same way. Like there's always complications when people start messing with something that works. And although you may change something and it may also work, then you get an argument about efficiency. And when we talk about people being very similar but at the same time very different, what we're really saying is that people are complicated. So even if you have a quote unquote perfect family unit, according to, whatever measurements you're trying to pigeonhole it into, it's not always going to be perfect for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so traditionally, for example, I taught my son the core values of what Thanksgiving and Christmas were about. Did we go out every day and have a big meeting and sit around the table and name everything we're thankful for? No. Instead, I encouraged him to make active use of that. So, for example, you've seen it. My son and I will just come up and be like, hey, hey, Dad, I love you. I'm like, I love you too, son. And we don't do it because we're saying thank you for giving or here's a gift or whatever. We do it because it gives a constant affirmation and reinforcement of the feelings we have without being artificially forced, right? Um, like if I'm at someone's house and they're like, let's go around the table and let's all say what we're thankful for, I'll be like, sure, I'll participate as to not to ruin their tradition, but it's not one that I practice, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I prefer to do it the way I do it. And I think that in today's modern family, that's something that they haven't nailed down. Change is great, but change is often messy. So a lot of these newer family units, be they same-sex couples, different, alternative lifestyle couples, non-couples, just platonic households, whatever, they haven't really figured out how to mesh their beliefs or their upbringings with their cohabitation people.
Hmm.
So they often don't want to impose and it becomes awkward and then they just leave things out or they try to like cut stuff away. And so traditions are just simply not traditions anymore. A lot of people are trying to find this medium where they're not being offensive or whatnot to a lot of people. So the holidays try to become so broad in their scope that you lose sight of those important things to some degree, right? Thanksgiving used to be as revered at one point as Christmas was in terms of goodwill and generosity and kindness towards people because that was supposed to bring people together,
Right.
which good food often does. But nowadays, Thanksgiving is more about, all right, let's get fat. Like it's still known that families celebrate it, but like if you don't have a family, Thanksgiving's not your holiday. As opposed to let me make that time with somebody who is my family, like in Jess's case, I don't need to go sit down with grandpa. If I don't know grandpa, if I don't like grandpa, why the hell do I want to sit down with him? Right?
Exactly.
I'd rather go sit with my friends. So my friend often invites me to Thanksgiving. I have an open invitation with my friends to join their families at any Thanksgiving. And like a lot of times they go, hey, why didn't you come over? And I go, what do you mean? You didn't invite me. And they go, you always have a place. But it's how I was raised that that's not what I'm supposed to do. So despite them having given me forewarning on multiple occasions, this is, you are welcome to come. They also know if they don't drag me to their house, I just don't go. And it's not because I hate them or anything. It's just how my brain works. It's how I was
Well, yeah,
raised.
I'm the same way. If an invitation, even though like I know I can go over to a friend's house whenever I want, like I don't even have to knock, I can just walk right in. You have to say, I want you to come over, or I want to spend this holiday with you. Otherwise, I feel like I am encroaching on people's time.
Right. Well, it's getting to that time where we need to start wrapping up, and I want to wrap up with this 9 question quiz. And I don't know if we've touched it all or not, but it'll be interesting to see if we have. So, number one, which U.S. president proclaimed the National Day of Thanksgiving to be celebrated on Thursday, November 26th? Oh, sorry, yeah. It's Herbert Hoover, Ronald Reagan, George Washington, or Abraham Lincoln.
Hmm. Was
Lincoln?
Abraham Lincoln?
It was Abraham Lincoln. Very good. Number
I
two,
know he had something to do with Thanksgiving. I just couldn't remember if he changed the date because there was somebody else who pitched it like initially,
uh,
and then he like made it official.
which was the first Thanksgiving to boost the annual Macy's parade in New York City? Was it 1924, 1960, 1945, or 1927?
I'm gonna say 24.
45. Wait, nope, that was during yeah, 45.
19,
Let's go with it.
1924 was the first annual parade, and the big balloons, the floats, I guess they're the balloons. They're not floats. The big balloons were introduced in 1927.
Yeah. Floats are the motorized little things that they stand on
Uh huh.
that usually look like various scenes or
Yep.
or characters.
When did Canada's Parliament establish National Thanksgiving Day on November 6th? Was it 1879, 1578, 1957, or 1949? We didn't actually touch base on this one.
57.
49?
Jericho, what did you say?
57.
No, it was 1879. They
Oh,
established Thanksgiving Day on November 6th.
Damn.
Oh, yeah, there's not much. Okay, yeah. So, 1879. The rivalry between which two university teams began the tradition of Thanksgiving Day football game? Was it Harvard and Dartmouth, Yale and Dartmouth, Yale and Princeton, or Yale and Harvard?
Yale and Harvard.
Yeah, Yale and Harvard.
Wrong. It was Yale and Princeton.
Damn,
Oh wow.
I was gonna say that, but
And that was started in 1876. All right. Since which year Thanksgiving Day has been celebrated in Canada on the second Monday in October? Was it 1957, 1963, 1890, or 1989?
I have no idea. B.
57.
It was actually 1957. Good job, Jess.
I remembered that in my research. That's where I was getting confused, was when it was when it went to the Monday.
Who campaigned for a national Thanksgiving Day amidst pre Civil War tension? Was it William Lloyd Garrison, Harriet Beecher Stowe, Sarah Josepha Hale, or President Abraham Lincoln?
They did
I'm
what?
just gonna go
Campaign for a
Lincoln.
national Thanksgiving Day amidst pre Civil War tension.
B.
You said Harriet Beecher?
Yes.
Okay. And Jess, you said,
I'm just going with Lincoln because it's the only name I know.
yeah, we didn't touch this one, and I apologize, but it was actually Sarah Josepha Hale.
Don't even know who she is.
Yeah, me neither. I guess, oh, it says here that, she campaigned for a national Thanksgiving Day to promote unity. Okay. Which historical event do Americans generally believe their Thanksgiving is modeled on? Was it the 1621 harvest feast shared by the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag people?
Yes.
Do I need to do any more? It's that one.
No, it's that one.
It's that one. Yeah. Okay. Where is Thanksgiving celebrated? Is it celebrated only in the United States, only in
Nope.
Canada, the United States, Canada, and Great Britain, or the United States and Canada?
I'm going with D.
United.
Celebrated a lot more places than that, but I guess it's a national holiday. United States, Canada, and whatever.
Yeah. Well, the purpose of this quiz is just the U.S. and Canada, and then we should all know the answer to the last question. Which U.S. president issued a proclamation designating the fourth Thursday in November as Thanksgiving Day? Was it Taft,
Lincoln.
Teddy Roosevelt, Taft, Herbert Hoover, or the FDR?
Oh, FDR. Duh.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
My brain's so fried right
Nailed
now.
it.
Nailed it. That's going to be it for today's podcast. Please join in the conversation in the comments below.
Like, comment, subscribe, share.
All that fun stuff. Goodbye.
Bye.